Dr. and Sister Zulu here. This thing takes place at Yuka. I think you guys are not there yet. Now, but you know what happens there at Yuka? Some people, they still believe in a lot of medicine. I mean, charms, evil stuff in the villages. There was this time. Everybody was scared of him. And it's believed he killed a lot of people to put them into his business. You see, that's what they believe. They believe that they can kill someone, put that blood in the business, and then it gets better. So I went to preach there, and I was just a young person, and they told me, be careful. There's this man, you don't mess with him, he's going to come to, a shame. And there, I saw that, they were all looking at me, the older guys, they were all looking at me. They really looked scared. And I told them, I said, listen, do you know that I am stronger than you as far as magic is concerned, or medicine, or there's nothing you can do to me. That's what I told them. I said, do you know that? And they were all, so people like all the Teripula, they came to me later and they say, these old people are saying, maybe he's young, but maybe this is good. In other words, he is strong.
With the charms.
With the charms. So I told him, I said, there's nobody. When I told them, and it was a lot of people in the evening, I'm telling them, there's nobody. I am strong. You know that I have killed somebody. And they were all quiet. I said, I have killed somebody. I don't care what kind of magic you can do. It won't affect me in any way. And I was just pacing, and then I said, listen, you killed somebody. Do you want me to tell you who that somebody is? And they were all scared, quiet. Because if you tell somebody there, they'll kill you. One time, I was, they put a stick here and a stick here, they tied here, and they lifted him up, his whole head was swollen. I had to stop them, and I said, stop. They said, no, he's a witch doctor. He's killing people. And I had to stop them. They would have killed him. So I told them, I'm going to tell you who I killed. I said, I killed Jesus. I killed Jesus. And he is the one I'm going to find. And you too, kill him. He's the one who is protecting me. You can do to me. And they were all quiet. I told them, I said, I don't care where you go, whether it's or you get your medicine from the moon or whatever. It won't affect me because I killed Jesus and he's protecting me. Well, to make the story short, that man got baptized finally. I said, so I felt that was a miracle. I kind of scared them at first and said, hey, when you talk about charms, I'm strong, there's nothing you can do. But really, I did kill somebody, and you killed somebody, didn't you, Doc? So the gentleman got baptized. Amen.
Brother, who's praying for this session?
It's you. It's you. That's what the schedule.
Oh, okay. There's no one.
Can we leave the schedule? And
Okay.
then there'll be.
All right. Then, Pastor, please give us with your
Okay,
prayer.
sure. Father in heaven, we thank you for bringing us together once again. We invite your presence, Lord. Come and lead us, Lord, and be with our presenter. In Jesus' name we ask and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. We got so many nice sessions this morning, and I was very excited when Brother Michelle was presenting and when my brother was presenting. Some of the issues are kind of similar The pointer is not working. It's like, oops. Okay. Let me see. Okay, it went too far. Let me go back. Slide number 2. Okay. So let's understand our history. If you look at ourselves, I consider ourselves as trailblazers. Most of the things we are doing are new. So if we are going to establish something as AZANA, we have no reference in the past, because you are it. So if we are going to create anything, we have to think and do as a group, because we do not have anything to go, we don't have a frame of reference. So, for example, most of you, like this generation of the first generation, the majority of you to come to the United States, right? So, a trailblazer is somebody who creates a path where there is no path. You create a trail, you blaze it so that you can walk through. And that's how most of us are. And we don't have, if we are born in a Jewish community or Indian community, they have mentors. They will teach you this is how you run a store, if you are talking about the Indian person. We don't have that. No one will tell you that this is how you run a business. It's trial and error. And then our culture, we also, we have come from different places, different provinces, then we come together as a group. Usually we have come on the basis of our faith, right? Adventism, we are waiting for Jesus. On the spiritual side, yes, we have had a lot of interaction. We know how to conduct crusades, how to evangelize. Those things, they are kind of part of our culture. But when it comes to business, we don't have any of those things. Then also, we are so, we have the Lord, He lives in our name. But somehow, it appears like making money, this issue of making money for us, especially Adventists who are preparing to go to heaven, somehow unconsciously, at some level, it appears like it's a sin. Somehow it's like you're not really getting ready for Jesus if you're trying to make money. How are you getting? I tell my kids, I say, Adventist is expensive. You have to take your kids to an Adventist school, and it's not cheap. It's expensive. So if there are people in the world who need money, it's Adventist. Yes. So the next point is some of the challenges that we have faced working together. Different AZANA members have tried different businesses. I remember one time, a long time ago, there was this phone thing which came, my wife joined, and AZANA members joined. Then there was that pyramid thing which came. That one I didn't join because I did my numbers out. I said, we Nazali, because the mathematics wasn't very clear. As you went down the line, it just showed that it was going to collapse, so that's when I ran away from it. Then in the most recent pushing for it, the guy who presented the thing to us, it was very convincing. For me, my major point was on risk. So this guy assured us in the training that he was going to control the risk. He wasn't going to invest at certain points. But the thing happened, the guy, all that he taught us in the seminar, that gave us the confidence, they were thrown to the wind. That's right. And he lost money. He lost money, actually. And with this, relationships sometimes get fractured. Because of these failures, like now when we talk about business, people have a right to be skeptic, right? That's right. Because they are faced with things that haven't worked. So there's a lot of skepticism in our community. Then there's also people are just sitting on the fence. Let's see if this thing is going to work. A lot of them. And because of that, they are afraid to take risks. But which business can you do without risk? Even the Heavenly Father, anyway, when we go to heaven, I will talk to the fact. Because for me, I can't question him because he's wiser. But where I am now in my faith, I like this plan of salvation. How much is that God took in getting a human being with a decision, with the power to make a choice? That's like the highest risk because God knew that this decision I'm making, he will follow or
He will not.
He will not. But because I think so much about that issue of risk, the Lord has somehow given me an answer, and the answer is this, on why he took such a risk. He has so much confidence in himself. He knows that if people knew him for who he is, they'll be attracted to him. So the reason we rebel against God is because we really don't know him. Because if we knew him, we'd be attracted. So that's how God mitigates his risk. But still, the plan of salvation is quite risky business. So now, for us as a people, we need to overcome these fears and create a very wealthy AZANA community. But we are the guys, we are the people who are going to make this. And there is not, it has to be multi-million. My CEO will say, no, it has to be $1 billion business, yes. So, in the next...
But on Alex, to interrupt, yes. I just, when you talked about risk,
yes.
I think I just want to recognize the ladies. They do very well with risk than us men. Please, for the husbands, before you invest, consult your wife, because the obvious answer will be no. So that to me is a good way of managing risk. Then you can go back to your wife and renegotiate, okay? Maybe you can take away 50% of that answer and then you invest. So I think women do very well managing risk. What do you think, Alex? What do you think?
Women have a special insight, which is not based on logic. That's why it's very important.
I think we should do more. That's what
When the lady says, no, this thing is not just false. Sometimes it's true, there's no logic to it. But there is some sense of knowing. They know. They have a sense which women don't know. No, it's just women are special. They have some sense we don't have as men. Anyway, let's continue. So how do we get to be a wealthy community? Dr. Michelle shared about individual wealth management. But we can't do what you are saying, sir. Before we have the money, you have nothing to manage. But I understand where you're coming from. So it will be a very good resource because the thing we want now for AZANA is to check. So the AZANA we are looking at, Brother Zumba Mosia is going to talk about some of the simple things we have thought about to generate cash for us as a group. But there are some simple things you can do right away. Most of you work in the health sector. Why do you have to buy scrubs from somewhere else? You have a company that sells your scrubs. If you want a scrub, you buy from AZANA. So let's start keeping money within our community. So we are going to have, on the new platform that we are designing, we are going to have this AZANA marketplace, where some of you are already doing business. You'll be able to advertise for your services. I think we'll charge you if you are doing an advert so that we can have more offers. I mean, man, so if Brother Michelle wants to advertise that as a financial planner, we'll have a place for you because our lives are beyond church, right? We go to church, but we have insurance needs, we have business needs, we have educational needs. So that's why we are called AZANA Life, because it's about our life. We love Jesus, so that's our spiritual life. We have our mental life, etc. So let's come to a point. Why should I be jealous if Father Bauer becomes a millionaire? Why? Why should I be jealous? Yeah, as a community, so the kind of mindset we want is that we want individual AZANA members who are doing businesses to be millionaires. You know what's going to happen in the future? We want to see a scenario where AZANA companies of our kids and ourselves, they are fighting to host the camp meeting. This company said, we'll sponsor it. This one said, no, we'll sponsor it. Then we even say, okay, whoever will be the highest will be the sponsor. That's the AZANA we are looking for. And these things will happen. Yes, was there. And you know, these things we talk about, sponsoring Rusango, Yuka, man, let's make billions so that when we go to Zambia, we are saying we are doing Yuka. We can't be making schools, substandard. It should be high standard. Yes. So that's what the AZANA of the future should be. Yes. And I need to leave some time for my brother here. So, the income we have in the community, we'll be able to support our projects. Sometimes life happens, maybe somebody loses. If we have money in AZANA, build them a house. Yes. That's the AZANA. Imagine, I've been chased out. Don't worry. Guys, somebody needs a house, how much? 250, no problem. Boom. Yes. Wouldn't it be nice? Nice. Can it happen? Yes. Yeah, that's the AZANA we want. Yes. So, on the practical side, we have, within AZANA, we have started a company. I'll let my brother talk about it. Before he talks about this AZANA specific company, some of the initiatives that are going on, a lot of our members here are part of a farm block in Zambia, where we are in the process of procuring some land, about 5,000 hectares. So there are about 43 families. Some of them are members here. So we're at a point where we have to make payments for the land. And the board is talking because payments have been slow. So it appears like those people want to pay at a certain time. We have to kick them out because it's business. And the chief is expecting money. So for those who are interested in the farms, in acquiring a farm, it's on the copper belt in Rufanyama. You may have opportunities, but you have to come with the cash. The chief is asking for 1,000 kwacha per hectare. So that's cheap. People don't understand that it's cheap. It's very cheap. And there's a scramble for land in Zambia. It can't want to always be there. So get in touch. If some people roll off and you have the cash, we can bring you in the group. For now, the group is kind of closed because people have selected, but we have to meet the deadline. So in case people don't meet those deadlines, it's just a heads on that if you want a heads up rather. If you want some land, there may be an opportunity there. So the whole idea for that concept is Adventists come together, they live in a certain community, they do farming. The cooperative which we have formed in Zambia becomes a center. So what it's going to do is we will have markets, let's say in Europe, US, etc. Then we'll just tell our members if we get contracts. Let's say we have a contract to do maybe soybeans for maybe whatever tons. Then we'll tell the members that year that we have this contract, please grow soybeans. So that's the vision for it. With that said, so that one is not so much AZANA because we have members in UK, South Africa, Namibia, etc. But this particular one we are talking about is an AZANA business that we have just formed. So to that end, I'll ask my brother Mosi to come here and talk about it. We thank God for this young man. I don't know how, by the grace of God, we found him, and I love him. He's such a nice CEO. He's gonna make us so rich. I'm so happy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I don't know how to follow up after such a man who seems to crack up the crowd with everything he says. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So my job is, it is to introduce.
Your headset is off.
Yeah. Is it off? Or maybe am I not talking into it?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. My job is to introduce Quacha Holdings. Looking for my clicker. USB. Just a manual. So like you said, my name is Nzumba Tambwa. You can also call me Moss, that's my name too. So I'm the chairman of the Quacha Holdings LLC. Quacha Holdings LLC. This company is a member-held company that is held by AZANA members. That came together and said, hey, let's do business. Let's formulate and strategize how we're going to do business. So just to segue from where he comes from, just to pick up from where he left off. We are entering the African century. The next 100 years are going to be led by African business. And if we are here not thinking about those things, how we can participate, how our children can participate, how our great-grandchildren are going to participate, if we're not thinking about those things, if we don't start thinking about those things, the future generations will wonder when they find out that you and I lived in the wealthiest country some 100 years ago, and somehow failed to capitalize and springboard and launch them into a very successful future. Now, I'm talking as though Jesus is not coming tomorrow. Okay? So let's talk that way for a minute, if I may. We know he's coming, but he also bid us to prepare and be ready. So I'm going to challenge you this afternoon and say, how many of you are ready for Jesus' return? Okay, lots of hands went up. How many of you are doing something about his return? And letting other people know and bringing people into the kingdom? Hands up. Okay? Okay, the hands are still up, but they're reduced. I can see all the hands. They're getting narrower and narrower. Okay? How much time do you spend out of all the time you have winning souls for Jesus? Raise up your hand if you spend 8 hours a day winning souls for Jesus. Raise up your hand if you spend 4 hours a day winning souls for Jesus. 4 hours, not indirectly, directly. Not indirectly, but directly. If you spend 4 hours, okay, no hand. How about 2 per day? That would mean 14 hours per week. Okay? I have 1 hand. Thank you. So you see what the challenge is, because the Lord gave us a commandment. He said, go and work and tell all the nations. Okay? But we know that it takes money for the gospel to work. Right? That's why they pass the plate in church. Right? That's why we have to fundraise. It takes money to do those things. And we as a religious organization of one mind have to ask ourselves the question, if he's coming back soon, how are we going to achieve this goal? One of the ways we can do that is this way, running businesses. Because we have today evangelists who should be preaching the gospel of God, and instead of working in the gospel of God, teaching the gospel, they are worried about how they're going to pay their bills, so they don't go to work. They go do 2 things or 3 things, so they're not very effective. And yet they have their heart. So if we generated business and industry that would power and forward that work, it's the same thing as us putting our treasure where our heart is, right? It's the same thing. In fact, Ellen White's writings, one of the examples gave was of a businessman who owned a suit shop, a business. And one person came to him and told him what he was doing for Jesus and another thing. And the business said, well, I don't have to do all this. But instead what I do is I sell my suits and I make money. And I take the money and I pay 2 or 3 evangelists in their work day. So that I don't have to worry about that. As long as they're paid and they're taking care of the work, I'm taking care of the other business, the same thing. So we have to think and strategize about the same way. So I want to start from this point because this is what brings us together as children of God, right? And we're here then as countrymen and countrywomen coming from the same birthplace. And we speak the same language. We understand each other. We understand what we can do for our motherland and our home. So having these similarities together, what can we do collectively? My brother here mentioned one of the challenges about coming together. This thing of skepticism, right? When we second guess, we start something, and we second guess, and we say, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. But in order for us to really do business together, we have to overcome that challenge. Okay, what Europeans are doing. They come together and they do it. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that all of us in here at some point can get along? Raise your hand if you think so. We can do business together and work together. Yes. Okay, I only saw a few hands. So raise your hand if you don't think that we can do this. I know you don't want people to see you and say that why you're the one, that's the skeptic. Just raise your hand, be honest. Or those who are pragmatics and who are real, right? Okay? So those are the things that we have to overcome in doing that. So collectively, we have started a company called Quacha. Quacha is registered in the great state of Texas as an LLC. We have a bank account open. Okay? What is the goal of our business? This is what we have for a strategy. We have several phases. Phase number 1. The biggest problem that we face is not the but the lack of cash, money. Okay? Everybody has great ideas. They have great ideas, but we lack cash. So phase number 1, we're going to try and accumulate cash. Nothing happens without money. Nothing can be born unless we put something in the ground and sow it, right? We have to plant something. So there are 2 ways that we're going to try and accumulate cash. The strategy is use the bond and treasuries strategy and dividend investing, particularly bonds and treasuries. The bonds and treasuries right now, particularly Zambian bonds, if you are participating in those, raise your hand if you are. Okay? So how many of you've made some money? Can you share some of those monies? Some of you who are making those monies, those millions, share them. How many of you have had those of you who are trading bonds and buying bonds, how many of you have had a good experience, a positive outcome on those? Okay? So money is coming in, right?
Yes.
So we have examples of people who are doing it, who are participating on a personal level, and they're doing it. I know we have finance people in here, Dr. Magello, my great uncle back there. You guys know numbers, so I'm not going to try and play games with numbers for fear of exposing myself. However, if collectively we can pull together and bundle that money and have a compound effect on that account and grow that money over a period of time, we can have enough money to kickstart several ventures. We have examples in the Adventist pioneers, Dr. Kellogg, for example. You still eat Kellogg's to this day. It's 100+ years old, and you're still eating Kellogg's cornflakes. Okay? I want that one day, 100 years from now, someone else is going to be sitting in your chair at a future AZANA meeting and going to say that this was done at this 2023 and was kickstarted, and there was 100, and we're enjoying the fruits of it, right? So that's the vision that we're looking at. So we accumulate cash, phase 1, phase 2. We're looking at high return cash flow businesses. For example, I've just listed a few that we've collectively as a group evaluated. Car wash businesses, venture capitals. I'll explain that a little bit. In Zambia today, there's a shortage of capital. People again need money, right? So as a venture capital, we can set up a fund that loans money and invests in these businesses and helps these businessmen and women grow out and become big, and then we exit out of those businesses. With that exit strategy, we're able to multiply our money and grow our accounts. That is also being done on the ground. There are venture capital businesses right now in Zambia who are doing that. But the demand for that is still humongous. There's still a lot of demand. It cannot be satisfied. So we have an opportunity to go in there and fill that gap. So once we have these cash businesses running, we can reinvest the money back in the bonds, okay, and generate more cash. So that for a period of time, we have a lot of cash. When I say a lot of cash, I mean a lot of cash. Okay? We're not talking 100,000, we're talking in millions at this point. And then phase 3 is where we're talking about long-term, participating in the African century. That means now we become key players in building manufacturing plants, in building agro-processing plants, energy plants, and so forth. There's so many things that we lack in Africa, we import from outside that can be made within Africa. So many things. The list is long. And if we can strategize as a group, come together and do those things, it's no shortage. Do you know today that in Southern Africa, the Chinese are setting up a fertilizer plant that is going to supply fertilizer to the whole of SADC? Okay? You're going to die, and I'm going to die, and your children are going to die, but that plant will still be there. Okay? That's what we're talking about. We are letting other people come in and participate, and we're not participating. The other good thing about this is, by participating, we become the owners of our own economy, right? We become the shareholders, the stakeholders. We're the owners, we're the participants. But if we let the Europeans and the others take a lion's share of us while we watch, then we're not going to benefit from it. So in conclusion, here's a short-term goal that I want to set before you. We want to raise $1 million in 5 years. That would mean something like 100 people, for example, or families, for a period of 60 months, contributing $166 per month. $166 per month. How many of you spend more than that just on dinner and movies and things? Everybody, yeah. Okay? All right, so we try to simplify it. Oh, unlike my brother here, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to touch that subject. Okay? So we can think about the ways that money comes in and money comes out. Money comes in and comes out. And if we're not careful, we won't realize how easy it is to acquire that money because we're not paying attention. It comes in, like my good Dr. Vijolo here taught us this morning about budgeting and setting aside a plan. I tried to use your analogy in setting that being more accurate and exactly stating that, yes, stating the statement. Raise 1 million in 5 years, 100 families. This is an invitation at this point, okay? Currently, there are 9 members on this, in this company. All those 9 members have pledged to raise almost $5,000 per person by December, per person, okay? Every single person is pledged who is on this group. As the founder of the group is raising $5,000 by December of this year to kickstart our bond investment cash accumulation phase. But we're going to kickstart that immediately as the money that's already underway and in place. But this is what we envision in order for us to get to that big goal. That 10,000 that you're going to invest over the 5 years, to do over the 5 years. I want to close with this statement. When did Amazon open? Amazon. What year? What year? 2001. It was early 2000, right?
Yeah.
2003, somewhere there. If you had $10,000 invested in Amazon in 2003, how much money would you have today? Don't answer. You will not even be here in camp meeting. You'll be somewhere else, right? Because you'll have hundreds of millions. Okay? But that's what we're talking about. Let us take ownership. Let's think about it. Let's take ownership. Come talk to me. Come talk to my brother here on how you can participate. And let's come on board. Let us help you. Any questions?
Yes. Would you please lay out clearly the vision and the mission so that those who want to invest can understand a little bit more what the plan is going forward?
By way of a
No,
prospectus?
not now. Later on.
Yes.
Yeah, lay the vision and the mission so that everybody who wants to get into this can really have an idea.
Yes. As a board, we have decided to put out that has come up, a prospectus. So that will be put together and sent out. It will be available to you. What I've given you is a summary
Yes.
and an invitation. So if you want more questions, I'm available for questions. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, what I've not understood so far is how the bonds mature and how the bond investors, how do they get the money? Because you are investing in somebody else. Maybe Central Bank of Zambia or other banks.
Yeah.
They're also doing other stuff to get the profit to pay on those bonds.
Or how do the government pay the bonds?
Yeah, how do they generate the money?
Yeah. Well, governments don't make money per se. They tax the corporation. Okay? That's majority of how my Kuranko is a tax, is an accountant, he'll tell you. Governments generate money through tax. Yes, sir.
I was just going to advise Waelda, so if you have your money, please bring it
I
out.
can't hear you.
So, just like banks don't generate money, okay? When you take your money to the bank, you deposit that money. You know what the bank does with your money? They use it. They give somebody else who goes in And it's interesting, and I like this question, because that question really taps into us to begin thinking deep. Okay? Can you imagine we are here? Okay? I did my math already as you were talking. After we have left this place, all of us, do you know how much money would have left in this building?
Yes.
Almost $100,000. Imagine if Elder Amakuli here had a hotel.
Yes.
That money could have gone into that hotel.
Yes.
Right? But we are so comfortable, I guess, leaving money in the hands of wrong people, right? Okay, I take that one back. That's right. But at our stage, for sure, and I'm equally to blame. I mean, AZANA has been in existence for like several years, including Alex. I think Alex takes the biggest blame here. But the point is, we should have even a credit union as we sit here. Okay? This AZANA here, very potential, where when our members fall into a time when times are hard, they should have come to the credit union here and borrow money. Okay?
Yes.
We begin to support our members, but we can't because, I mean, it's just difficult to bring us together. But I think maybe after this, things may change.
Yes.
Now, quickly as I sit, we started a similar project with a friend of mine that lives in Canada. His name is Roger. I think most of you have seen Sister Holiness is there and a few other members, okay? This was an idea that Roger and I crafted because he knows I spent many years working at Bank of Zambia and I was actually the manager in charge of treasury bills and bonds and the open market operations transactions between the bank and the what you call the commercial banks. So I told him, I said, look, I think, you know, not to talk politics, but we had huge numbers in some of the WhatsApp groups that we had after the elections. And so we went to sell this vision, exactly what you're doing. So we sold that vision to, I believe, close to 300 people, just from a WhatsApp group. Guess how much capital we've raised so far? As I speak with you, we're well close to 25 million.
Wow. Did you hear that?
Yes.
He said
And
25
this is new
million.
stuff I'm telling you.
Wow.
25 million just from Zambians.
Wow.
Even Adventists. Because we sold the vision
Yes.
and they believed in us.
Yes.
So we called Denny.
Where did you take that money?
Sorry?
Where is that money? Where?
Well, it's in Standard Bank.
Okay, everybody heard where it is now.
Okay? So we formed what we call a global cooperative, which is actually like the vehicle that is managing these funds. So the money doesn't come to us.
Yes.
Even in AZANA, we open a bank, as you said,
Yeah.
then the people are paying, that money sits in the bank.
Yes.
And when we are investing, we don't invest as individuals.
Yes.
We buy what we call a corporate bond.
Yes.
So basically the Stanbic
Yes.
buys the bond on behalf of our members.
Yes.
And then when they buy the bond, it comes in that account. And
Yes.
behind the scenes, we do the calculations
Yes.
to know, okay, this one brought in so much, they'll get this interest. And then they give us what their local bank accounts.
Yes.
So we sit behind and just disperse that.
Yes.
But when we buy as a corporate.
Yes.
So I love what you're saying, my nephew. Keep it up.
Yeah.
And I can rest assure you, we want to be part of this.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Clap
much.
for me.
I have to show to answer his question on that. One last question and then we'll take a break before we take the. Yes, please.
I wanted to know, has the countdown for the 5 years already started?
I'm sorry, what?
Has the countdown for the 5 year started already? And do we have a date? What is the deadline for bringing the?
Yeah, you can come speak to me about joining in, but the founders the original people who came together, as I say, that the timeline has already kick-started. The 9 people who have already said, hey, we can't wait to do this, this is what we've been wanting to do all this time, have already pledged $5,000 by December. Okay? So they're paying something like $600 every month until December. So we want to continue that non-stop from here on out, continuously, and putting this money is not coming into anyone's pocket. We have a bank account with Chase Bank. Okay, we have a bank account with Chase Bank. That is a visible account that you would be able to access and see your money and be able to report some statements and so forth. So that is the way, and then it has, of course, it's managed by the managing members. There's 3 people who are going to be signatories upon approval by the board. So it's all, we have all what you can see today is just an introduction, paint a big vision picture, so you see where we're headed, and invite you to participate. And let's put aside the things that divide us, the skepticism, and let's show the world what we can do.
Yes.
And you don't want to go home and you find that the Chinese own, okay, the Indians own your home, but you don't own anything. Okay? So let's do away with that.
When you're investing in treasury bonds, the incentive, maybe people are not aware, you can any compound interest. So it's and depending on the economy, by the way, it fluctuates. Your interest will depend on the economy. And right now, that's why they're saying Zambia is the better place. US is not the best place for treasury bonds because the interest rate is too low. But Zambia, the government still needs a lot of liquid cash, so they're wooing people for them to invest so that they can have cash, and they're willing to give you coupon payments that you can as an incentive, and then depending what year you invest your bond, you're investing on your own.
Yes. Compound effect is what we're after. We want to get that compound effect to work for us. I'll take 2 minutes and then I'll wrap up because my brother has to take the floor also. What I've highlighted here is a downloaded return sheet from the Bank of Zambia on bonds all the way from 2004 all the way down. It is available on their page. What you see in yellow are rates of return, okay? The weighted average rate of return. 22%, 17, 14, and so forth. Double-digit percent return, okay? Year in, year after. And these are, they're not all, they average yearly, but some of them are monthly. You know, treasuries can, they issue them every 2 weeks or so. But you can see, okay? In 2004, when people are earning 15% and 20%, where were you? Okay? Where were you putting your money? You probably had money sitting in the bank. Okay? You're saving it in the bank. What were we doing? Okay? 2005. So the world is investing their money in Africa, and Africans are paying the world. Okay? That's what we're doing. But you can go on, you see, that's the story. And lastly, just just one calculation here. If you had $1 million, one more zero, $1 million invested in bonds, and you put an exchange rate of 17 right now, roughly that's what it is in what the US dollar to kwacha. You have about 17 million kwacha invested in bonds. If you were putting it in a 2-year bond, a 3-year bond, a 5-year bond, 7-year bond, 10-year bond, and so forth, the same million over time. What my sister, my mother, I should say, said there was the coupon rates that are paid every 6 months on those bonds. That's what you could receive as income and live off of if you were living on top of that money. That's a good income. The payouts on those annually for that coupon, on that 1 million you could be earning if you had a 2-year bond, is this number right here, 90,000 for the 2-year bond. Let me just highlight that. Okay. But you can see the highlight, right? 90,000 for a 2-year bond, 100,000, okay, annual coupon for a 3-year bond, a 5-year bond, 110, and so forth. I can drop the pin right now, it's quiet, everybody's thinking. Right? You get the point. So we're missing out on these earnings. We're missing out. We're not participating. Okay? How many businesses can you start with $100,000 coupon return? Okay? If you're getting that much annually, how many business, if I gave you $100,000, would you be able to kickstart? Okay? You can get into construction, you can get into medical supplies, you can do a lot of things, so many things on an annual basis. That is how we can grow and become a multifaceted, growth organization, and so on and so forth. But the returns are there. If you invested it for 2 years, after tax, your balance, you have 1.2, 1.5, 1.9, 2 million in 7 years, 10 years, 2.7 in 15 years, 3 million. Okay? But these are things that we have to financially understand. So thank you so much for your time. May God bless you, and hope I've given you a lot to think about today. Thank you so much.
Just a suggestion. Maybe on AZANA line or something, not for today, this time is up. If you could share with us, or maybe I should speak to you, why we are going to be cooperative instead of incorporating.
Or the LLC versus incorporation?
Yeah, what the differences are.
There's a lot.
You can't go into those.
Sure, I can talk to you about it, but there are benefits to consider for being an LLC and benefits to consider for being a corporation. We chose the multi-member LLC vehicle because it's unlimited members. You can add as many as you want, and there are fewer restrictions. It's easier to manage, tax-wise also, quite easier. But we have a lot of tax experts and financial experts here. Simplify and streamline things. But at some point, we desire this to be an opportunity for everyone, so more people can participate. So we want an unlimited number of participants. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about time management. We are gone over the time, and we should be now in another program. And I don't know how we can manage the time. Can we take a 5 minutes break and then come back after 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And please, let's keep time. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Excellent work. Thank you so much. I'm good. Yes, yes.